So we're back. And I'm not sure how much of our conversation we lost. And that's quite unfortunate. I am going to try to get Charlie back. That was quite a good conversation. Anyway, I'm not sure where we left off. Where I think we left off was that a 17-year-old with a high-powered gun taking a field trip into the land of chaos, controversy, mayhem, gray area, irrationality. Hey, can you hear me?
Hang on. Okay, what? Repeat yourself?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I was on for less than a minute. And what I was saying was, I'm not sure where we left off, but the gist of it was, and this has never happened. So you remind me to reboot the router every time before we start the show again.
Okay.
Right.
It's committed. Okay, I got it.
Okay.
I'll never forget that.
This was a
for the rest
very
of my
good
life.
conversation. This was a very, very good give and take
You
conversation.
missed the conversation that I had with myself while we were down, too. I thought it was still streaming, so I didn't want any dead air. It was like
no,
5 minutes of good thought.
Yeah, no, I went and turned the device off. And anyway, so what I was saying was you and I had been talking about just that an individual traveled, got into a situation, devolution took place, and where we were at was, I was questioning whether or not
He was looking for trouble.
Yeah. I didn't say that. I said basically somebody inserted themselves into a situation that was, highly unpredictable. And I had been concise, just highly charged, highly controversial, highly unpredictable. And we were just kind of dissecting all those points, morally, legally,
really good
logistically, ethically. So let's keep going. I mean,
So
part two.
Wait, are we live again?
Yeah, we're live.
Okay, good. Okay, so the thought that I had while we were off, I was talking to myself. I was like, I don't know if we're live. I'll just keep doing this, rattling on, and see where this ends up. But my point in response to your point is kind of interesting. I don't know. You might just dismiss this immediately, and then whatever, it is what it is. But have you ever seen the movie The Town? With
I don't think so.
Ben Affleck. Okay, so it's about how I think it's Boston. I don't
My
know.
favorite
I
guy.
don't know. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Ben Affleck. It's about like bank robbers, and they're like, "Hey, bank robbery is like a job here. Like it's like a trade. Like it's passed down father to son, and whatever. If you're a
In the
bank
town?
security guard,
This is like a town of bank robbers?
they call it The Town, and it's like fuck. Hey Siri, where does The Town take place?
No, I mean, who is this group? Is it just a family?
No, it's people. The Town is an American crime thriller. It's just people. Like, let's say it's Boston. Yeah. Okay, Boston bank robbers. So they say, hey, there's a certain part of Boston where bank robbery is like, that's like the trade there. That's like what, like some people grow up as carpenters, some people grow up as bakers, whatever. They say, hey, in here, this part of Boston, bank robbery is the trade.
Okay, this is not necessarily relevant, but my head's cut up. Is this a part of town then?
What?
Is this a part of town? Is this an area where, like, in this little corner, this is where the guys whose trade is bank robbery hang out or live?
Yes, yeah. That's
okay.
that's the gist of the movie. That's the plot of the movie.
Okay. So
Does that
the
make
bank
sense?
robbers are in this area, and they hone their trade and pass it down from generation to generation or group to group. And
Yeah.
okay, sorry
And
to
it's
interrupt.
known, right? It's not some
Okay.
secret, right? It's known. This is a thing that's known. So let's pretend that you
In cops or feds or whoever, they know it too.
right. It's well known, right? And that's one
Okay.
of the part of the movies is that it is cops, right? Yeah.
Okay, so it's like a safe cracker you can't catch or whatever, cat burglar.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
It's like Ben Affleck and John Hamm, I think, are the two stars of the
Really?
movie. It's a good movie.
I gotta
you
see
should watch
this.
it.
Anyway,
But
okay.
yes, it is. Yeah, it is good. You should watch it. I think you'll like it. But anyway, if you are a guy who grows up in that part of Boston and you're like, whatever, let me go and become a bank security guard, right? Are you not, based on what you've outlined, are you not in essence looking for trouble by taking that job and going to work every day?
Sure.
You are.
Sure.
But it's not illegal and it's not wrong. I'd say you're doing a good thing, even though trouble is implied. My point, and this is a good thought that I had while you're off. I wish that you would have heard it the first time. But if you're an airport security guard, bank security guard, whatever the case is, and you end up murdering somebody in the line of duty, while you're at work, because that person is also causing trouble, I'm not going to say that you contributed to that equation in a negative way. I'm going to say that you were doing your job. You did the right thing by stopping the people who were doing something wrong in the first place.
Here's
Just
the
like
difference.
I'm going to say Kyle Rittenhouse. Go ahead.
No, go finish up.
I was going to say just the same way that Kyle Rittenhouse was just acting like a general security guard, even though he may have been looking for trouble or expecting trouble, because it was coming for sure, and he knew that. Okay, I see you shaking your head, and I'm kind of laughing in anticipation of how you're gonna dismiss this.
Here's the problem.
Go ahead.
Kyle, whatever his name is, hasn't the first fucking clue what a
Rittenhouse.
security guard's supposed to do. He's had no
That doesn't
training.
matter. What?
It's absolutely germane. You referenced a movie where the trade of these guys is
Fuck
bank
no.
robbers. So if you hang on,
Fuck no, it doesn't
hang on.
matter.
I got a point.
No.
It absolutely
Go ahead.
absolutely does matter. So if you took Jocko Willink, right? Fucking Navy SEAL,
Yeah.
badass, the benchmark of how to handle a situation. And you took him
In all
and you
situations.
stuck him in that situation rather than an immature 17-year-old kid potentially fantasizing about discharging a firearm, you're going to have a very different outcome.
I'm waiting for you to waiting to get to the part of the point where it dismisses what I just said.
It just
Is there-
dismissed
is
what
there
you
anything
said.
else to
That
follow?
Yep. You
No.
prefaced your whole argument by this bunch of guys who, by trade, are bank robbers.
Yeah.
When you're by trade anything, you study the inputs, the outcomes, all the different variables that might happen so that whatever you do, it turns out in some foreseeable, intended way. This
Now-
kid just showed
but-
up with a gun.
You're
He
conflating
had
the bank
abso-
robbers with
no,
the
no,
security
no.
guard. In this
No,
instance.
no, because you used him in the context of a security guard. I don't know this, but I would argue dollars to donuts that this kid both did not know nor hadn't 1 second of training or familiarization with what it is to be a security guard and or secure property or make things safe. He did not have
I am
jack shit of a skill set to show up there with a gun and expect that things would end more peacefully as a result of his presence.
I am totally unwavered in my stance by your little speech there, which was very nice. Thank you. But I don't mean to, sorry, I don't mean to sound condescending, but it just comes
No,
naturally.
it makes you sound ignorant, but that's okay.
like an asshole. You're right.
No, it doesn't make you
my
sound like an
point is-
asshole. It makes you sound like you can't see reason, but that's okay.
No, you are the one who cannot see reason in this case because you mentioned intention. Intention is all that matters. It's based on intent. The people who are there committing crimes in the first place. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm certain that Kyle Rittenhouse was aware that was aware of what's been going on in the country, like probably most people are. Let's just say at least half. So there's at least a 50% chance that he knew what was going on in the country right now, what these riots really meant, and someone just got killed in their area. This guy, or, let's just say, hey, innocent black man, whatever, just got murdered. Seven shots. Not killed, but paralyzed. At the very least, I know what the intent is of the people who are going to this place to quote unquote protest. I know what their intentions really are. At least I have an idea. Now, if I go there with a gun, that speaks to that awareness of intent. Now, like you mentioned, the intention, whether or not it was studied in advance, whether or not it was planned out, whether or not it was handed down like a trade skill, whatever the case is, there's still intent existed. That's the point that matters. Now, if you're somebody who's in effect going to be a security guard, all that you care about is what they're going to do, not necessarily why or how that they do it. And he was just doing something to stop that. He was saying, hey, this is fucked up. This is wrong. Doesn't matter if somebody got murdered. We're going to handle it in the courts or paralyzed, excuse me. The thing to not do is to go and burn shit down. And what I'm going to do...
You're saying he went there as a security guard. He didn't know.
The
kid
skill
doesn't
level
understand,
is not a factor.
The kid doesn't understand
That is
what
not a
secure
factor.
is. We
It
already
doesn't matter.
talked
It's
about
not-
you're
that is not a
23.
factor.
Where were you at 17? And you're like, nowhere.
I was a fucking... I think the word that you're looking for is fucking idiot. That's what I said. Now,
Guess what?
let's just say that this fucking idiot...
I would guess that the fucking idiot you were at 17 would probably not have taken a gun that he couldn't legally own at 17. Perhaps it was given to him. But I don't know what the gun laws are. But anyway, I would
I've owned guns since
presume,
I heard that.
having known you at 17, that you wouldn't take a gun and get in a car and drive 30 minutes. And I don't give a fuck what you say, especially in Wisconsin, where 30 minutes is 30 plus miles. So
Yeah,
you're driving
sure.
30 miles. You're not like weaving in and out, and you're 10 miles away because there's no freeway. You're a ways away. You're Coon's age away. Anyway,
Whoa, Chris, watch the language there.
right. Careful on who you offend there. That you wouldn't have done that at 17. You
No, I
have been
wouldn't,
like,
and
I
I
don't-
already made that point. But yeah.
So at 17, you're an idiot. So this guy's using the transitive property, more of an idiot, and at the very least, not prepared in how you might handle this correctly, depending upon what your desired outcome is. And I'll go back to, I don't know that his desired outcome wasn't a fantastic shootout.
It may have been, but my point is, and it just comes back to the security guard thing, and I don't know how your
Well, can I
idea of
interrupt you? It
whether
really
or not
comes
he's
back
trained in
to
that.
it really comes back to the morality and legality issue, which you and I don't entirely disagree on.
Disagree on. No, not at all. I think that you and I are pretty much perfectly clear on that.
So it gets down to 17, right? 223 or 556, or I forget whatever the other caliber is. And
It's just this 7.62 you're talking about, but that's an AK.
yeah. And what the fuck are you thinking? And we don't know the answer to that.
We're speaking to his intent, which is kind of why I didn't want to go down this rabbit hole. But like you said, you and I don't necessarily disagree on the legality or the morality of his actions when this all went down.
Yeah, there was a
I'm just
transgression
saying-
of offense. And
Yeah.
and it's tragic. Death sucks. Death sucks. I don't
totally.
give a fuck.
Not
I-
a fan of death.
When I see a bird
Not a
fly
fan.
into my window, I feel bad for it if it dies.
Oh, for sure. And are you aware of the
Yeah.
birds in Detroit? What those are?
No.
It's like a scooter. So it's like an electric scooter that it's called Bird, BYRD.
Okay.
But it's like imagine like a Razor scooter, but it's electric and it's like you can drive. You pay, you scan your phone. You pay $2 to get you where you need to go. It's whatever, fast. It's convenient, and they're all over town. I saw this picture. It was a scooter laying flat on the ground in front of this glass store, like the front door of some store. It was like all glass, and the caption just said, "Oh, geez, this bird flew into a window," and I thought that was very, very funny.
Okay.
I don't know why I mentioned that here.
Let me
Needed a
shift
comedic-
let me shift gears on you. Cuz
Please.
we're kind of killing the points that we're hung up on. I think
Yeah,
we
we're just
understand
beating
each
them into the
other.
ground.
Where can you and I go on this where we get someplace that might offer something productive?
And this is where I was going while we were off camera, and I was just talking to nobody.
And not that everything we've talked about didn't offer some food for thought for everybody. And hopefully we didn't lose too much in the break, because I thought it was a pretty interesting conversation. But yeah, so what are your thoughts? How do we get somewhere
So
that kind of suggests, in the greater good, here's what we take away from this?
this is what you need to take away from this, people. And I think Chris will, without hesitation, totally agree with me. I have no doubt of that. Hippocrates. You're aware of Hippocrates, right?
I've heard of
Hippocratic
them.
Oath, doctor's thing. Famous quote: "First, do no harm. Primum non nocere." That's Latin. First, or maybe it's Greek. I don't know. First, do no harm. Both of these people involve both of these entities, both of these factions, we'll call them, protesters, right-wing guys with guns, whatever the fuck you want to say. I don't think that was on either of their minds, even though you might say, hey, the right-wing guys, they were just going there to stop some crime from whatever the case is. The first mistake that they made was that they broke the rule, first, do no harm. And that means people, that means property, that means by force and by fraud. First, do no harm. That is what people need to take away from this, and that is what everyone needs to keep in mind constantly, is that the first thing you need to be thinking about right now, 10 minutes from now, and 10 days from now, is to not harm people, don't harm your fellow man, and then the next thing I would say is keep your side of the street clean. Those two things make for a much cleaner society, not just in, literal garbage, but in terms of blood in the streets. It's that is that simple, is do not harm people. And just because a store is a store, and you can't necessarily put a face to something that is an object, an inanimate object, doesn't mean that it doesn't have something behind it like that. And that guy has feelings. That guy might have a gun, whatever the case is. That guy definitely has a mortgage. So, all things being equal, the thing that I definitely think that people need to be reminded of in this case is first, do no harm. That is always rule number one. That's my spiel.
I couldn't agree more.
Thank you.
That's a great message. That's a great message that nobody has brought up. A couple of people have kind of suggested it as a mix of other things. But that's brilliant, man. That's brilliant. Your number two, I think there are other number twos we could argue about, but it's a good one, right? It's kind of like Jordan Peterson's clean your room, right? Start somewhere.
Sure.
Clean your room.
Yeah.
Start with your own shit. But yeah, did you see, there were two videos. One was, ironically, like a group of white, chubby, upper middle class people walking up to diners saying, put your fist out in support of Black Lives Matter, or we're
You're
going
like,
to
fuck
keep
you.
we're going to keep shouting in your face. And there was this girl in just this pink blouse, and she's like leaned back, and I don't know what she was saying, but it sounds like, like, I got no beef with you. I just want to have dinner. Did you see that?
I would have been like, white lives matter. Oh, you said black lives? Oh, no. I'm not going to say that. I'm just kidding. That's not what I would say.
You know what I would have done?
First of all, that's
You
not
know what I
would've
would have done?
but
I
what?
already thought of what I would have done. I would have said, hey,
Yeah. Right. Bam, bam. Yeah.
right.
Holster.
I would
Yeah.
have said, hey, stop shouting at me. Sit down. Sit down and I'll buy you a drink. You stop shouting at me
Yeah.
and sit down and I'll talk to you. I'll even buy you a drink or dinner.
Yeah.
But you got to stop shouting at me
No.
because I'm not going to follow your orders. You don't know what I think.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to acquiesce to an order from you. You don't know me. You don't know what I've done, what I'm doing, or what
Yes,
I
an
might
order.
do. Maybe you should be listening to me. And maybe if you took a couple of minutes to listen to me, you might learn something. So why don't you sit down? And do you drink soda, coffee, beer, fucking strychnine, whatever it is you're drinking, I'm buying.
Bleach.
And if after a couple of offers of that, I'd have gotten aggressive, and I probably would have hit somebody. I would have said, "You're legally assaulting me. Get the fuck away from me, or I'm going to defend myself," and just popped him in the nose.
And Chris is strapped, bitch. Shoot.
I'm
On
strapped.
sight. No. He's strapped. Yeah, it's funny. After knowing you my whole life, I think it's nice to hear you say strap. I'm strapped.
Is it true?
But yeah, it is the truth. You gotta stay strapped. Oh fuck, I was at a great point. Oh, here's what's funny to me about that whole situation is
Do no harm, man.
And here's another one of these
fucking
videos.
Brilliant.
What?
Do no harm. We should do a quick video on do no harm and just pop it out there. Just a 5-10 minute. Because that's brilliant.
I said while we were off, while the stream went dead, I was like talking to myself, trying to keep the air alive. I was like, I should get that tattooed on my body because that is like the most important thing in literally every situation. It's constantly the first thing is first do no harm. That's why it says it. It's in the thing. It's first. It's not second, third, fourth, whatever. It doesn't even just say do no harm. It just says it's first. Do no harm always. That is it. And thank you for recognizing that. I did not come up with that. That was Hippocrates. But
No,
also,
but in terms
as much
of
as
the
he was aware of
situation-
human,
Yeah, but that's the Hippocratic Oath, right? In terms of
yeah,
social unrest and social progress that obviously is on the minds of many, right? And is totally in the news. And the vocal minority are kind of running the show here. But that's a great message for them, and it's a great message for everybody. You know what? Before you fucking ruin that woman's dinner, night, week, month, whatever, she suffered harm. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's funny. I'm not even sure
Sorry,
I want
what's
to go
funny?
here. I'll tell you a story sometime. I'm not sure it's
Do it.
appropriate for where we're at now. But I used to tell a story, and it had to do with championing racism, anti-racism, whatever you want to call it, and a lot of what's going on right now. And if things don't change, so you take somebody who's kind of borderline dispassionate and in the middle, white, black, whatever, the extremists are going to ultimately lose support by driving the masses to action in a way that's probably in contradiction to what they're trying to get done. You keep telling somebody, are you for me or against me? Are you for me or against me? And the response is, I don't know. I hadn't given it that much thought. Well, fucking figure it out now. Are you for me, against me? Or are you for me, against me? I honestly don't know. I need a little time here. No. Right now, are you for me or are you against me? Okay, if that's what it is, I guess I'm against you. And I think that there's some of that going on right now. I think people are getting exhausted, and they're like, if you're going to be in my fucking face, you're going to dominate the news waves, you're going to tell me I'm wrong when I've done nothing, and say that, I don't even know what I'm thinking, right? Microaggressions, the way you move your hands, unconscious bias. I know what you're thinking, and I'm not even a psychologist, but I buy into this bullshit, and I'm going to tell you what's going on in your head, and you got no choice, and you got to succumb to my truth. You're going to be like, you know what? This is the straw that broke the camel's back. Fuck you.
That's I'm That's a very, very, I'm not going to say conservative, but I'm going to say it's a very kind of a right way of thinking, like a right-wing way of thinking is like, you want me to do what? Like the simple act of you putting a requirement on me, a burden, and that's what my dad used to always say is, hey, not only is it first do no harm, but it's don't put a burden on other people unwillingly. Don't if someone's, I think essentially he talks about mostly it's about taxes, but it's like, hey, don't burden me with that decision. I don't need you to make me don't make me do something that I don't want to do. Now, that's a very right-winger kind of thought process. And to kind of backtrack for you, what you're talking about, and again, I'm gonna throw a shout out to my my lady friend Kate, cutie, but we kind of were talking about politics, whatever, in general, which me being me, I should avoid it. But she goes, nah, I don't know. I don't really think about it that much. I don't really care. I'm like, fuck. That is like the ideal thing. And why aren't there more people like that, by the way? And what's wrong with that? That's awesome. Like, you should totally be able to be like, I don't fucking care. You're like, I don't have a dog in this fight.
Right.
And the problem is that you have to pick a side. Yeah, you're totally right.
Well, if you engage at all, you have to pick a side. I think there's more people like that than you think. Yeah. I think, and I think they're exhausted, and I think they're afraid to engage. That's the problem. And that's the problem with cancel culture that you and I have been talking about for a year. The problem is cancel culture, right? I mean, we talked about the idea that, and this is totally pre-George Floyd, if you have an opinion on racism and you're white, you're racist because you're not allowed to have an opinion. If you don't have an opinion on racism and you're white, you're racist because you need to have an opinion, right? So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And this, it's gotten to an exponential level where you're damn squared if you do or you don't. And it's just, nobody's winning favor right now. And I think that the middle masses who are at least engaged enough to be paying attention and maybe a little more engaged enough to be swayed and or bothered one way or the other are either going to get complacent and be the fuck you, I'm against you, or they're going to get active and say, you know what, I'm vocally against you. And I'm not even talking about any one movement. It's just extreme right or extreme left. And the one thing I wanted to comment, you might say the way what I defined was conservative. You might also say it's classical liberalism, which is we all listen to each other.
Just leave me alone.
Well, and it's if there is an argument or if there is a position or a change to be made, we talk about it, right? And you start here and you get here, and this is the solution. And there's no other way, right? If we're just all going to shout on the ends, nothing happens.
Yeah. Yeah, at the very least, you got to talk about it.
Yeah. Part of the beauty of this is if this remains status quo, nothing happens. That's conservatism, right? Let the extreme on this end and the extreme on this end, whether you're talking left or right, whether you're talking, positive and negative, whatever, nothing happens, which can be a good thing. But right now, fucking people are dying, shit's getting burned down. I think, we're starting to miss the point. Or maybe not you and I, but the point is getting hijacked. And that's just bad. I mean, right now we have pictures of 3 pictures of 2 black leaders that were the bookends that you and I agreed on when we started this show. So hopefully that means something. I know it means something to you and
I'm
me.
just kidding.
You
Cover 'em
could put the
yeah.
put the Shaka hand in front of him. Let's just fucking hang loose and figure this out. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, and if that's not a fucking great, and I don't know how we're doing on time, but I was going to say wrap up the show, but
Oh, we've been going a while, haven't we?
like hang loose. What's with all this fucking tension, man? Like, I sound like such a hippie saying that, but hippies are bad. Long hair is bad. Get a fucking haircut. Hang loose. Everything's all right. And the thing that contributes most to the way that you feel is your own thoughts, right? I need to kind of hammer that point home because you are the one who is the captain of your destiny or whatever the fuck you want to call it. You are the rudder of your own ship. Don't get too bogged down by stuff like that. And seriously, hang loose. I don't even know how to get that point across more heavily, but it's so important.
The other thing I'll add to it that is baked into what you're saying, but I want people to hear it all starts with the individual. It starts with you.
Yeah. I'm
talking
about the man in the mirror.
Right. A group of people is a bunch of individuals. So think for your fucking self, please. And I say it's a good time to wrap, but give your hang loose speech one more time.
Let me try to make that more concise. Let me do this again, okay. You know what? Malcolm X, they all look alike, don't they? Just kidding. Just a joke.
Wow.
But everyone who's going to take offense to that, you should remember to hang loose because, and I can't stress this enough, again, you are the person who has the most impact on how you feel. Nobody else has let's just say a debt to repay you by making you feel a certain way because of their actions or their words. You're the one who feels a certain way, and you're the one who is also able to control those feelings. Maybe some people less than others, but at the end of the day, it's all on you. You need to remember to chill out and hang loose and think before you act. Not only think before you act, and even before you think, just remember first do no harm. You don't even need to think about that. It's a rule. Just say, hey, you know what? What do we do? Okay, first do no harm. Not going to burn a building down. Okay, now what's next? Oh, you know what? That point might have some merit to it. Maybe I shouldn't go and, risk my life by fucking marching somewhere because there's crazy right-wing guys with guns everywhere. Or whatever the case is. Everyone needs to hang loose and chill out. Do no harm. I think life would be a lot better for a lot of people.
And don't shoot people.
And I seriously mean that. And I'd be a lot happier too. Yeah.
And don't shoot people.
Also, don't do that.
Yep.
Guns don't kill people. People kill people. There you go. I think that's
there you
a good way
go.
to sign it off.
All right. Little
Thanks
music.
for listening to my rant.
Thanks for listening. And that's a wrap.
I'm giving you a
Later,
kiss
people.
for-
Hang loose.
for doing harm.
Say goodbye to Charlie. Say goodbye to Chris.
Bye, Chris.
Later, folks.
Oh.